My name is Swardik Mayanja, and this is the Mayanja Accredited News Network. We have today, this is my first guest that I actually don't know personally, so I am super excited to have her on. I am very happy that she allowed me to have her on. Lena Elkins, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here, and I'm so honored to be your first guest.
There is no justice when so few have so much and so many have so little.
Yes. So you're my first guest that is not related, friendly, or in close contact with me. So I appreciate this wholeheartedly. Lena, let's just jump right in. You are a millennial online business coach, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. So why don't we start from the beginning? Tell us who you are, where are you, and why did you choose business?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Lena Elkins, like you said. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area in Marin County, if anybody's familiar with the Bay Area. And then, did the whole typical thing, went to school, went to college in the US. And then when I graduated, I actually picked up my bags and moved to Tel Aviv, Israel, which was a big shock to everybody. I think that most people, when they first get out of college, they start looking for jobs and trying to do this whole, I decided to do it in a foreign country where I didn't speak the language or know anybody or anything. But I moved to Israel, basically got my first ever adult job, right? Didn't work out, ended up quitting, ended up starting my own business just because I had a feeling that it was just the direction I was meant to go in. Was able to grow it and scale it. And then eventually that was doing so well that I was able to basically transition into a coaching business where now today I'm able to basically coach people who are millennials and mostly in their 20s and 30s how to strategize, scale, and, really grow online businesses. So that's what I do.
That's super exciting. So, if you don't mind, what was that business that you started that, that first business that you did on your own?
Yeah, for sure. So I was running a digital marketing consultancy. So basically, it's funny because in college, I was actually a Middle East studies major. So people always wonder, how did you end up doing this? But what I've learned is that your college degree really has nothing to do with your career a lot of the time. But basically, that first job that I told you that I ended up getting when I graduated from college was a social media marketing position. And I knew very little about social media marketing, just kind of, I guess, what any 20-something would know about social media, which is a lot. But, I was able to kind of learn a lot as I went. And then at that point, I decided to quit and start my own consultancy. So a lot of people were kind of saying to me, your own social media consultancy when you didn't even have that much experience. And, you weren't an expert in it. You weren't the best in it. And I think what I eventually just kind of realized is that, I didn't need to be the Beyonce of social media. I didn't have to be the best person in the world at whatever it was that I was doing. I just had to be better than the person I was teaching it to.
Good for you. Yes.
So that's how it works.
It's true. It's very true. It's very true. So, because you said you were a Middle Eastern major in college, what did you, what made you switch into business? Because moving to a whole different country is one whole thing, and then you get there, and instead of doing anything Middle Eastern related, you decide, let me jump into. Did you have a family member? Were you just selling stuff on the side during college? Was business in your blood, or did you just jump into it?
It's funny, it wasn't my blood, but I don't know where it came from. Even from a very young age, I have clear memories of, kind of just being a self-starter, wanting to organize things, wanting to get people together, wanted to sell, even little things when I was little, lemonade stands and things like that. It was always in me to, just do my own thing. And I was also, really bad at just ever, following rules. I didn't like getting homework or being told what to do from my parents or from teachers. I just always felt like I wanted to do my own thing. So I guess in that way it wasn't me, but it's interesting. Actually, fun fact, my dad was a business owner, but he was a muffin man. He owned a muffin store in our town growing up. So he was the muffin man, and I was the muffin man's daughter, and it was a cute
That's
thing.
That's awesome.
I don't know, but really entrepreneurial, not so much. But But yeah, in college, I thought I was going to go into politics. That's why I was a Middle East studies major. Instead of living in Washington, working in the Middle East space politically, I'd rather just be in the Middle East, and see what I can do there. Really immerse myself in it, live in it, see if I can learn the new language, and just really, try something totally different. So that's what I ended up doing.
That's awesome. So, so now we know how you accidentally or by fate, whatever, got into business. How did you decide from regular business? So you have like the brick and mortar, you go down to mom and pop, the gingerbread, what you said, like that kind of
muffin store shop.
The muffin store shop versus online businesses. Do you feel that online businesses is the future and, brick and mortar is going to be no more? Or do you think they're both going to be there, but online business is the way to go?
I think the word, it's funny. Going back, I don't think that it ever even occurred to me to really start a business at all. Before I was ever interested in business, I really had a marketing interest. I was interested in social media marketing. That's what this position was in. So more than having an interest, like I want to open my own business or pursue a business, I really wanted to become, really good at social media marketing. And I guess the first, aha moment that I had when I wanted to start my own business was when I was in this full-time job and I realized, wait, I am making like a fraction of the amount that the company I was working for was charging their end clients, when I could go work directly with the end clients and, make a lot more money, work directly with them one-on-one. My skills are the same either way, right? There was no need to have that middleman, which was the employee, on my own. So that was really the only other moment where it occurred to me, like, maybe I should start a business. But before that, it was really a marketing push. But to go back to your question, I don't think that, brick and mortar is really going to be in our future. There's just no way. I mean, you see every year now, more and more huge brick and mortar, corporations are shutting down. And just online is the direction, for better or worse. I mean, it's just so much more accessible for anybody, first of all, to purchase anything online, right? But also from a seller's perspective, there's such a bigger opportunity to scale and to reach such a larger audience when you're online. Plus expenses are lower, I mean, depending on what you're selling. But if you're somebody like me who runs a service-based business, I predominantly sell one-on-one programs and digital products. That's such a lower cost than having to, obviously manufacture and sell a physical product in a physical store. For every kind of business in every industry, this is the direction that it's going in.
I think you're right on the money, because I believe the same thing. I mean, here in Boston, Amazon just did the switch in Boston. I don't know how many states, cities, countries have this going on for Amazon, but now I can order something, limited items, order something from Amazon, and it can get to my house within hours, which is absolutely amazing, So if I need my groceries, we have Peapod that the Stop and Shop could deliver it. It's so much more convenient, and everyone's fighting for time these days. I'm with you. I think it's going to be near future, no more. So millennials, you do business. Online is the future. Millennials. Is it because you are a millennial, you think that is your best, population or your demographic, or do you just think that we need the most help? Like, why millennials? Why only millennials?
So it's a combination of like everything you just said, plus a few more elements. But basically, on the one hand, obviously, I'm going to identify most with my fellow millennials, right? When I was running my consultancy, I was primarily working with like B2B Israeli startups. So, maybe people who were a bit older and they had like SaaS products, things that were less relatable for me. But then and then basically the reason why I gained such a big interest in millennials is because a lot of my friends and, family members who were in their 20s started coming to me saying, how did you start your own business? Like, I also hate my job. I also want to do my own thing. I also want to make my own money. Like, how did you do this? And then I realized that there was such a big need for these resources because for most millennials, we have a very hard time when we get out of college or out of high school or whatever, finding good jobs that we feel fulfilled in. We feel like we're not getting paid enough, yet it's the most expensive time in history to be alive. We don't feel appreciated in our jobs. We don't, because we were raised in this digital era, we don't feel the need to be in a physical office for 8 or 9 hours a day. We can just do work from our computers. So I was learning more and more that millennials just felt so unsatisfied and unfulfilled in the work that they were doing. Yet the response to that from every other generation was, you're lazy, you're entitled, you're selfish, you think you don't have to work your way up the ladder. And it's not true. It's just not true. We live in a different age where it's not necessary to work structure that way anymore. So that's really what I started thinking about, were like all of these millennials who just feel silenced by like the corporate, structure, and showing them that you don't have to like suck it up and just deal with it. There are other alternatives where you can feel really fulfilled and excited doing.
Yeah, so I like the fact that you mentioned the other generations and how they treat us, or the stereotypes they have for us, because I did look up some facts, some statistics from the U.S. Bureau and the census that millennials, first of all, we are the largest share of the U.S. population. Currently, we are a little bit over 28%, so that makes it really good for your business plan. We are by far the most diverse. 43% of millennials currently are non-white. 43% of adult millennials are non-white, which is absolutely amazing. I think diversity just makes better creativity, which makes better business.
Absolutely.
We are by far the most educated. So lazy, get the hell out of here. First of all, education is the most expensive it's ever been. And even with that, we are the most educated, with the average millennial having 34% of millennials having at least a bachelor's degree. And then lastly, what brings us back to you, more than 85% of millennials own smartphones, and 5 out of the 6 millennials in the U.S. Connect with companies through social media. So all of those facts, and I'm with you 1,000%. Online business is a huge, broad, subject, just topic, anything. Like you can do anything online business, right? So what do you focus on? Do you do the big, like Amazon's, Google's, like those humongous companies? Or do you focus on like tiny, like I want to start up a YouTube channel, I want to sell rugs to, New England?
So I don't want to sell rugs to New England, but I do want to do some other things that are super specific. So I help the kind of millennial who, so basically, right. So if you're selling a physical product, I can't help you. But if you're somebody who wants to develop a service-based business, if you want to be like a solopreneur who offers services, so that could be any kind of coach or consultant or freelancer, maybe you're a writer or you're a coder or you offer some kind of a service, I help you. And also people who have info products. So if you're somebody who's, trying to produce and monetize from webinars, from online courses, from video trainings, things like that, help you with. So basically people who are in their 20s who are trying to create service-based and info product businesses.
Yeah. And so do you think, would you consider that like your best asset? Is that what your favorite thing to do is, like social media service-based products?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I ultimately think that this is a big misconception. I don't know why people don't get this, but people relate to people. People don't relate to products,
Yes.
So no matter what it is that you're selling, whether you are selling a physical product or, you have a membership site or it is, at the end of the day, nobody really cares about the thing that you're offering. They care about the person that's offering it. You know what I'm saying? They want to see that you're a relatable person. You're somebody who they're going to get along with, who they can vibe with. And so that's really what I specialize in, is helping people humanize their brands and, put them at the forefront of whatever it is that they're offering. So basically I help new entrepreneurs gain visibility and basically create that personal brand that their target audience is going to resonate with, and not just buy from once, but over a lifetime.
Yeah. So because we are in the internet age, and there's like a million things you can find on the internet, there's so much free just
content overload.
Exactly. And it is overload. How do you compete with all the free information, number one, and number two, just the massive amounts of people saying like, I can do what you basically said for you a million different ways? How do you compete? How do you stand out?
Yeah. So the first thing that I'll say is that like 98% of my content is free.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thanks. So yeah, like if you're on my email list or you're in my Facebook group or you follow me on Instagram, you're going to see that like there's a lot of free content that comes out every single week. And then I do obviously have some like higher level one-on-one programs, and then my digital products, which are for the most part like pretty affordable. I know who my target audience, people who are in like their early 20s and still in college are not going to be investing thousands of dollars in an online course or something, So that's the first thing. And the second thing, it's funny that you asked that because my clients come to me all the time and they ask, like, there are a million people who are already offering what I'm doing, a lot of them for cheap or for free. How do I stand out? Which is such an interesting question to me because at this point, I don't know if anything is really like original or that original. All that you can really do is put your own spin on it and your own personality and your own perspectives. Like a chair. I'm sitting on a chair right now, right? You think that only like one manufacturer in the world is allowed to make a chair and everybody else who does it is like a copycat? No, like a million different companies can sell chairs. Each one just has their own style and their own, personality and their own, whatever. And therefore everybody can be successful. So at the end of the day, whatever it is that you're selling, only you can share that in your own way and your own, through your own personality, through your own values. So people all the time, look, I understand there are a lot of people who do what I do. There are a lot of business coaches. At this point, like my niche is pretty honed in that there isn't like so much obvious competition. But then again, I know there are still a lot of people in my space who do this, but people will come to me and they'll just say, look, I don't know what it is, but I vibe with your personality. Like I get what you have to say. The way that you say it, I resonate with. And I don't know what that is, why that is. I don't have any control over that, but at the end of the day, for whatever reason, I explain things differently or maybe in a way that's easier for people to understand or what's more inspiring. So it just depends on the person. Ultimately, I just have to be myself, and that's what people are going to resonate with or not.
So good. Like now I feel like we have a good understanding of you and what you're doing. So let's try, because like I said, this is an everyday hero show, and I believe what you're doing helps many, many people. So I would like to start to at least give some advice. Nothing you can't give out, obviously. So it's right from the beginning, right? You say a lot of people come to you and say, I hate my job. I want to leave. I want to start my own business. I know that I'm a nurse. That's my full-time job. And I do this on the side. I consider it a side hustle. Mm-hmm. How do you get millennials to make that jump from I need to work a 9 to 5, I need to go and, get a corporate job, climb the ladder, to you can start your own business? How do you make them believe in themselves enough or to just make that leap of faith into starting their own business?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It's a few different things. And first of all, what I have to say is at the end of the day, I can give all the advice in the world, right? Like I can tell anybody, you've got this, you could do this, but if they don't actively make those mindset switches, it's going to be really, really challenging for them to ever fully go through, the process and succeed at it. So there's only so much I can do, first of all, I want to say. Because at the end of the day, people have to make those choices themselves, but there are plenty of ways that I basically encourage people to make the jump. One of the big things that I tell people is that, like, if you ever want to do anything on your own that's different, this is the time to do it, right? It's going to be much harder when you're in your 40s or 50s and you have children and, you're married and maybe you have a mortgage and you're going to have so much more responsibility in your life. When you're in your early 20s or, your mid 20s, this is the opportunity to screw up, and to make mistakes.
Yes.
And to, go out there, find the money that you need to find to make it happen. And then you can always come back from it. But this is by far the easiest time in history to start your own business, no matter what age you are really. But the fact that you can anything and learn anything and connect with anybody from the convenience of your iPhone on your couch, this is the opportunity to take advantage of. That's the first thing. The second thing that I want to say is that people are really good at freaking themselves out about things that haven't even happened yet. We have this way of, we say, okay, well, if I quit my own job, my full-time job and start my business, but then I fail and then I'm going to lose all my money and then I'm going to lose my house, I'm going to be homeless and everybody who loves me will stop talking to me. And people jump to these crazy extreme conclusions. It's never happened to you and it's not going to happen to you in this case. So, but people are really good about feeding into the feeling of how they're going to feel in the worst possible situation. So what I want to say to that is future. There's no reason to be freaked out today. Today you're safe. Everything's fine.
Yes.
All you can do is do one step at a time. So don't freak yourself out about things that haven't even happened yet. It makes no sense.
Exactly. It is. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So it is super scary. And I think, it is one thing to freak out and say, oh my goodness, I might fail, I might not have a job, whatever, so on and so on. But at the same time, I found, even though I have my full-time job, even though I'm doing really well for myself, was the plan from day one in college, and I'm doing it, I'm living it, and I have free time to do something on the side, one of the biggest things for me is like disappointing the people around me, making them feel like, oh, I it was shitty. Like I tried something and I failed. And how, like, because that is just like, I'm always constantly feeling that pressure from family and friends. What do you do personally, and what advice do you have to entrepreneurs and business millennials out there?
Yeah, so this is a huge concern that people have. It's like, what are people going to judge me? What are they going to think about me if I fail? What if I let down my mom or my partner or whatever? I hear it all the time. And at the end of the day, I think that you have to be your own number one fan. You're always going to have haters. You're always going to have people who are worried or who judge you. And at the end of the day, like starting your own business, you are putting yourself out there. You are being vulnerable. You are opening yourself up to criticism. And it's okay, I really dislike when entrepreneurs are like, yeah, like, fuck the haters, they don't bother me, no, like, I'm strong, like, you know what I'm saying? It's okay to say, like, these things hurt and these things disappoint you, but at the end of the day, you have to be your own number one fan. You cannot let these things derail you from what it is that you're trying to do. You have to keep going, and at the end of the day, you have to listen to your own gut, and you have to trust yourself. Is this something I need to continue pursuing, or is it something that maybe I need to pivot in, I understand that it's hard, and ultimately all that you can do is quiet those voices in your head, It sucks because, like, as human beings, I believe that every decision that we make is based on, pursuits and status. What are the statuses that we want? Do we want to be seen as successful or wealthy or smart or whatever? But that needs to be up to you at the end of the day, and it's super hard when the people that you love, you feel like they aren't supportive or they're worried, but you have to be there for yourself. You're doing this for yourself at the end of the day.
Have you been through any situation like that? Anyone in your life what did you do about it?
It's funny that you said this, actually, because this actually happened yesterday. I'll tell you.
I'm sorry. Too close, huh?
No, it's okay. It's really interesting because I've had my own business now for like a little 2 years-ish. And the first time this ever happened to me, like a close yesterday, and it was so funny, and it was my sister who, like, I'm really, really close with. She's like my best friend. And it wasn't even anything big. She just basically like made a comment that basically implied that, like, she thinks that what I'm doing is like scammy or weird. Because look, I understand that to a lot of people, like, having an online business is still like a fairly new thing. Yeah. So to a lot of people, it screams like pyramid scam. They must be trying to, steal people's money, when, like, come on. But she's just, she's a teacher. She's in a different world. She doesn't understand. And she just made some comment that basically implied that, like, she doesn't understand or support or believe in what I'm doing. And it sucks. I'm sorry. Like, it hurts. I don't know. It's okay. Whatever. Everybody goes through it. But at the end of the day, I was so proud of myself because I didn't let it, like, really throw me off. Because at the end of the day, like, my boyfriend says this expression, like, you have to fly over forgetting English words right now. Fly over the telephone poles like a bird. You just have to keep going over that. He's Israeli, and it was like a Hebrew expression, but you have to keep flying over them like a bird, just not let these things bother you, and just keep your end goal in mind always. And that's really all that you can do. And it takes practice and a lot of self-reflection. And for a lot of people, I recommend to my clients, like, take the time to really check in with yourself when these things happen, and be sure to journal, write it out. What am I feeling right now? What am I experiencing? What are a few, like, tactical steps that I can take in the next day to kind of get back on track? Because when you let, like, these things happen to you all the time, they're going to get tangled up in your brain. And it's just better to, like, get them clear from the beginning. Get really clear with yourself. Here's what's going on. Here's how I'm feeling. This is what I need right now. And then just get right back on track. Don't let it derail you too much,
Yes, definitely. I found that's some really good advice. And I'm happy that you kind of just jumped right back on the horse. It's just like, made you feel dazed, but then you were right back on it, which is pretty impressive. So I want to get a little practical, because when you sent me the email, like, agreeing to do this interview, which thank you. You, first of all, it seemed just super, super organized. You're very good, and you answer back, like, in specific times, and I feel like I'm having an actual conversation with you. But on top of that, you sent me to a link that had all your times that you were free, all your open times. You just seem super organized, and that's something that's really difficult. Just real practical. How do you stay organized with so much going on with such a big business? And also, I'd like to know how many people are in your business, or is it just you right now?
Okay, so first of all, I'm very flattered that you say that, because I don't feel like I'm an organized person at all. I feel like out of like all of like my, quote unquote big besties, all my entrepreneurial friends, I am like by far the least organized. Yeah, but thank you. But it's a combination of things. So basically, in my business right now, I'm the only one full time, and then I have a VA, a virtual assistant, who is like there for me a few hours a week, who helps me with a lot of the back end, techie stuff in my business, because that's the stuff that just like drives me crazy. All of like email automation stuff and whatever. So he helps me with that. But otherwise, yeah, it's all myself, and it's really just a matter of like writing every little thing down. The night with an idea for my business, I don't just go back to sleep. Like, I have to make sure it's written down, because you just never know.
Yeah.
When you're gonna need it.
Goodness, I've never heard of a virtual assistant. I mean, that sounds pretty badass.
Really?
I just please a little bit more. What is a virtual? Is it an actual person, or is it just literally virtual?
No, it's a natural human being. It's not a robot. So it's a real human being. And basically the kind of like trendy thing right now, I guess, it's funny, most people outsource their VAs out of the United States because it's a little bit more affordable. And like the Philippines right now is like the hot place to get your virtual assistant. Mine is not in the Philippines. Mine is in the United States. But basically it's just somebody who's there to help you in everything in your business, but they could be anywhere around the world. So some VAs specialize in like techie side of things, back end, website stuff, whatever. Others might specialize in more like general admin stuff, specialize in social media. So they all kind of have like their own niches. And it's just awesome. You can just hire someone for like a few hours a week or a month or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I might look at getting myself a virtual assistant. That's actually that's really, really cool. So, okay, since we're talking about virtual and we're talking about tech right now, so something just came out in the news last night, that Google, you from California, Silicon Valley, Google Google has been accused of systematically paying their female employees less, and on top of that, they have also been accused of having them be, less leadership roles and just less in population in total. As a female business owner yourself, how do you look at this, and do you think that this is still a major problem in the States / where you are in Israel?
Yeah, all around the world, it's a huge problem. I mean, like, in terms of my specialty, I'm much more concerned that millennials in general are not getting paid enough. But yeah, like, definitely. Because I'm not in the corporate space, I'm not in that position necessarily where, I'm potentially making a lower income. But but obviously it's horrible, and I know lots of women, friends of mine, who have gone through it. But I remember even like when I did have full-time jobs, just small paid or like little things that were so clearly sexist that I was not, necessarily taken seriously in that business space, that were like super shitty to deal with. Absolutely. But I mean, it's one of the perks, I guess, of doing my own thing and having my own business, that I do fortunately get to choose, my salary. It's a huge issue. And I always advocate, especially to my female clients, how important it is to make sure that you maintain a certain level of confidence, because it's so easy, maybe when you're going into a meeting or something with a potential client who's a male, to suddenly become, to be quieted, or to suddenly feel a little bit insecure or nervous, or feel like you have to lower your rates because it's what would make them feel more comfortable,
So I don't know how long you were at that business that you started at when you first moved, but was it 50-50 male female? What was the ratio?
Oh, that's a good question. First of all, I was only there for 10 months. I'm telling you, I'm like the worst employee of all time. I was not meant to be there. Okay. But you know what? It must have been about half and half. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Do you ever feel, because you seem like a very, you have good self-esteem, right? You seem that way. I don't know you like that, but do you ever feel intimidated when you do walk into a boardroom, into a meeting room, and it is majority men? Do you have that issue, especially in business, which is, historically supposed to be a manly thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And I know that sucks, and I don't let it show because it's something that I've worked on for a really long time. I mean, I've only been in business for 2 years or so, but I've been involved in a lot of different, in college, I was a part of a lot of on-campus groups and organizations and stuff like that where, so I feel like I've been in that position for a really long time, maybe, since I was 18 or so, where I've been in situations like that where I've kind of gotten good at standing my own.
Yes.
But sure, I mean, still sometimes. I was even on a call last week for actually a really cool event that I had the honor of speaking at, and there were 10 speakers who were chosen, and I was so surprised that only 2 of them were women. Of the 10 people who were chosen. And look, I know them all. They're all incredible entrepreneurs from various niches, and I'm sure that they were all chosen with good intentions, but I was still a little taken back, why out of 10 people who were 2 were female?
Yeah. It makes sense. It's a difficult situation. So I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
So I am surrounded by female. I'm minority by far, but I don't know. I never, and when I say I'm surrounded, I'm literally most of the time the only male nurse on the unit, on the floor. And I have never ever felt that kind of, I've never felt inferior, intimidated, but that's just something I can't sympathize with because I've never had that feeling when it comes specifically to gender, maybe race sometimes, but definitely it's a horrible thing. But we had that Women's March. It was the biggest in history. Hopefully we continue moving forward. I mean, that's obviously the goal.
Yes.
So getting back to being super practical, I found you on Instagram. That's where I found you. And then I also joined your Facebook group, Millennial Go-Getters, which is awesome. What do you think, if I were to spend the most time on marketing my YouTube channel, where should I put the majority of my marketing time and effort? Should I keep it on YouTube because I am on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat? There's so much. How do I choose where should I go? And you can make it general, not specifically for me.
Yeah, I was thinking, YouTube specifically, but at the end of the day, and I know this isn't the answer people are looking for, it's trial and error. You have to test things and see what works for you. Every brand is different. Everyone wants to consume content in different ways. It's really all about identifying who specifically your target audience is, and then how do they want to, be interacting with you. But obviously, Instagram plays a huge role for anybody who's developing a personal brand. Yes. Instagram is a big thing for me. My boyfriend is actually a professional Instagram marketer, and he and I were able to produce Instagram Bootcamp together, which is a really cool online course. But basically, important anywhere where you're able to amplify, your own personal brand. Snapchat is also huge still, even though Instagram obviously came out with stories and they're kind of in this crazy war now. Snapchat is still totally legit, a huge part of my business. And Facebook as well. It's funny, a lot of people say that Facebook is slowly dying. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think that, its uses as a marketing tool are just shifting. There's a lot of changes going on with Facebook right now. But the only platforms that I think, if you have a millennial target audience, I don't think that Twitter is so legit. Yeah. And, depending on, whether you're more female or male, Pinterest can also play a significant role. Some of my clients are, fitness coaches or people who are kind of, they call them mompreneurs, women who specifically serve women. And then Pinterest might be a relevant platform for them. But for me and my business, I would say that Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat are my 3 big ones. And email marketing is also still huge.
Yes. it's just like, I have to say, just the amount of time and effort it really takes to actually market like successfully and do, good advertisements or just branding on these different social media. It's actually very, very difficult. It doesn't come intuitively, but once you do it and once you get it, it starts to make sense. And I'm not by any means a professional. I don't even consider myself good at it. I just started, but I can see the progress happening, and it's legit. It really is legit. I love the fact that today I can literally just send a DM to a Nike CEO, or I can, message like Kevin Hart. Like the degree of me communicating with some of the biggest, most important, influential people is amazing with all of the social media. Do you see, is there anything you're playing with, keeping your eye on, any new, like musically, anything like that? Meerkat, do you have your eye on anything?
No. I wish I had an answer for you, but look, there are so many of these platforms, and I used to be one of these like shiny object syndrome people, where there was like constantly a new app, and I'd be like, ooh, that looks pretty. What's that? And then I would invest like all this time trying to like become the best at it. And then it like would go under, because let's be real, very few platforms become like huge today,
Exactly.
I gave Musically a chance. I gave Peach a chance. There were a few over the past like year or two that I relevant enough in my business. And I think that's like you were kind of saying just now, that social media can be so time consuming for like a new entrepreneur who's just starting to build a brand or, gain visibility. That a lot of people get burnt out when they try to be everywhere at once. That's the problem with all these new tools, when in reality, like, simple is better. Focus on where your target audience is. Where is the most attention? What are they talking about? What are the pain points that they're dealing with right now in those communities, on those platforms? What solutions are they looking for? What's trending? Get in on those conversations before trying to be everywhere at once. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. And I have to say, like, Instagram is my favorite. I've been slowly growing on Instagram, which I do like, and I see actual progress on Instagram more so than any other social media. But do you have any specific advice on, increasing followers, getting more likes, getting more engagement, or just, influence marketing, anything that you can give advice on Instagram without giving your Instagram boot camp away to the public?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so there are a few small like tactical tips and then general things, but tactical, I guess you could say, you're allowed to use 30 hashtags on Instagram, right? There are 30 hashtags that you're allowed to use on each post. First of all, most people don't take advantage of that, even though there's a huge opportunity to do so. The second thing is that most people tend to only use hashtags that are like huge, like hashtag business, hashtag social media, when really no one's ever going to be able to find you if you use hashtags with so many millions of uses. Not to say that it's the worst thing, but when you're first getting started, it's going to be really easy to gain, or really challenging to gain that visibility and to connect with relevant people when you're doing that. You're just going to get pushed to the bottom. So what I like to tell people is kind of break it into 10, 10, and 10. Use 10 hashtags that are like maybe like under 10 or 20,000 uses, and then a medium amount that, are somewhere in the middle, maybe 100,000. And then the last 10 can be bigger, but that way you could start connecting with people who are more at your level and kind of work your way up. So that's one thing that you can do. Obviously, something that I would try to do is engage with the people who are social media in general, but it's been really helpful for me with Instagram specifically, is identify the influencers or the thought leaders in your niche, right? Who are the people who you look up to and who your target audience also looks up to, and then see how you can connect with that influencer. And then that way, basically, they can then filter down and it can reach their audience as well. And then you basically are able to like hijack their audience, right? Gain this whole new group of people who are able to help you. So one thing that you can do is reach out to those influencers directly. Like, for example, I don't know, it could be anybody. I was just trying to think. A million people just came into my mind.
That's literally how I asked you for the interview. I DM'd you on Instagram. You sent me to your Facebook group, and then I messaged you once you accepted me as a friend. This is happening because I DM'd you from Instagram, because you are an influencer on Instagram. And first of all, congrats on the 10,000 followers. That's a huge milestone. But yeah, so like that's how it happened. And it's very true. Like, before this, like I was telling you, it was all friends and family and people I know in my neighborhood that I asked to come on the show. And like now it's like the world is literally open. Like you're in Israel right now. Like the world is open. It's amazing.
It's amazing. And see, it's all about these relationships. And then like you build a relationship with me, then I can introduce you to, maybe another influencer. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's just this chain reaction. I think a lot of people are very hesitant to reach out to people one-on-one who are like big influencers for some reason. Not that I'm like some, whatever, but people are very like hesitant because they think, oh, they're not going to respond. They're not going to engage. But these are real human beings on the other side. People think like, oh, it's just a robot who has no personality. And these are like real people who are trying to build real relationships, So don't be afraid to reach out to those people, and then the doors will open up from there.
Awesome. So we're almost done here. But I do have to say, so I was going to talk about Trump, but you don't live here. That's not something we're going to have a conversation about. But like just bigger than Trump in general. It's just, I think in the world, it's been a scary time with Brexit, with Trump, with just the wars and the bombings that it's been really, really scary. And when, there's scary times, people don't want to take any risks in their personal life. So just what advice or what can you say about millennials or just anyone who wants to start a business in a time where they don't think is the, opportune time to start a business? What can you say to those people, those folks?
There's never going to be a time in your life that is the perfect time to start a business. Ever. Look at me. I live in the Middle East, okay? I live where the bombings take place. I've been here through wars. I've been in bomb shelters. My sister was a soldier, in one of the biggest wars here, my little sister. It is scary. I know. This is like real shit, It's not easy. It is scary. If I can live in a foreign country where there are wars and I don't speak the language and I'm not a part of the culture and I don't have any family here, and it's not like, by the way, when I started my business, I had all these savings and all the support. I literally had no money. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no entrepreneurial experience. I didn't have that many, like, quote unquote, hard resume skills. And I pulled it off because this is by far, no matter where you are in the world, the easiest time to start businesses. I've been able to collaborate with projects, with people in like India and like all these crazy countries where you think that maybe, there is less opportunity or you wouldn't be able to connect with them or you wouldn't be able to rise up, but you can. If you're a millennial with internet access and coffee and a few other basic important things, you can conquer the world. You can build your empire starting today.
And I'm so much I'm so with you just because me starting this recently, I've had mostly, I'd say 99% of people have been really supportive, but they always say, but you don't think you want to wait till the next administration? This is not the best time to not spend all your effort into work. And you could be going to school more and getting a better degree. And I'm like, I want to do this. I live in America. The opportunity that I have, I'm literally the one of the 1%. And it's just amazing. So why not? It's not, if it does get better, great. I'll be more experienced by then. But until then, am I supposed to just wait until, things are perfect? But you're right. It's never going to be perfect. I am so with you. So just to close this out, I know we've touched on just a million different things, and I appreciate it very much. But if there is one thing that our audience, that your audience and my audience can leave with, what is the biggest thing that you want all of your clients and all millennials to know about marketing or starting a business?
I think that it would have to, that's a big question. I think that what it would have to be is that it's your responsibility to work for your happiness and not the happiness of someone else. As we're growing up, we're so accustomed to think that we need to do what makes our teachers happy or our parents happy or follow this career path because it's what school told us to do. And because of it, I think a lot of people have lost their self-awareness. Don't be afraid to turn inside and really look at yourself and be good to yourself. In order to do that, you have to ask, what do I need in my career to feel fulfilled and to feel like I'm doing something meaningful and I'm contributing and, that I matter? And ask yourself those questions and then identify and then decide if you want to start your own business or not. Because for some people, it's not for them. But at the end of the day, you have to make that choice. It's up to you and not everybody else. So take the time to do some self-exploring and identify what you need to do and make your decision from there. But don't do it because anybody else told you to do it.
That's great. Lena, 5 years from now, I ask all my guests, when you are the biggest online business coach in Israel, in California, in America, in the world, and I call you and Q says, do you remember we had a Google Hangout interview? And I said, could I please have a follow-up interview? Would you do me the honors?
Hell yeah, of course. I'll be like, I was waiting for this call. I was sitting here for the phone.
I truly appreciate it. And then lastly, who would you say in your life currently, in the future, someone online, someone you don't know, do you have a favorite or an everyday hero?
Yeah, I have the biggest, recently I go through like different business crushes, but my biggest business crush in the world right now is on Daniel J. Piazza, who's the CEO and founder of Rich 20 something. And I had the opportunity to have a meeting with him in LA. I'm helping him promote his new book. So I had met with him in LA last month, and I was just like starstruck. You know, he's just the most incredible, inspiring, down to earth, real influencer.
Hold on 1 second, please.
All right.
Okay. And then where can we find you? That's super important. Where can I find you? Where can we find you? So I was asking, I'm sorry. Where can we find you?
You can find me at lenaelkins.com, and you can also join my Facebook group, Millennial Go-Getters. I invite all your listeners.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And please follow her on Instagram. She's hit 10,000. Let's get it at 20. I was so happy when I got a response. Number one, I wasn't even imagining getting a response, but the fact that you responded and then agreed was just like through the roof. Very, very happy. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. All of you guys watching this, all of her information is going to be down below. The Facebook group, the Instagram, the website, all of it's going to be down below. And you said, what's this new, the Instagram bootcamp? Is that the title of it?
Yeah, Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
Yeah, it's awesome. If you want to check it out, you can just go to lenaelkins.com/IG bootcamp. 1 month course.
Perfect. And I'm going to put that as well down below. I actually might sign up myself because I need that boost. Instagram is the shit right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lena. Best of luck to you. It was a pleasure. And yeah, hopefully we can continue communicating and build.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.